Do you remember the concert or recording or opera which first opened your ears to the world of Richard Wagner?
Yes, I was a student. I got a scholarship and I went to study at the Conservatoire in Geneva. The school was attached to the theatre and they just happened to be doing a ring. And my chum and I swam into the intendant's office and said, please, please, could we sing a Rhine maiden? And I sang a Rhine maiden, a Valkyrie and a Norn. And that was really my introduction to Wagner. And they had great singers, Anya Celia singing her first Brunhilde, and Ramon Vinay, the great Tristan, and Otello was singing his first Wotan. And we sat through all the rehearsals, which was fantastic, and I was hooked.
And did it feel like natural territory for your voice instantly?
Absolutely. I think being Welsh, I was brought up with harmonies in my head and in my voice, and being in choirs and that. And of course that is the thing about Wagner and his music, is the colour of the harmonies. Wagner opened the field for lots of other composers, Mahler, Strauss, Schoenberg, and it's just, the text is quite difficult, the text is quite hard to understand because it's like learning to sing in Shakespeare in English or Chaucer, and it's just sat perfectly for my voice. And I did a lot of Italian repertoire as well, the early Wagner. I've sung 11 parts in the ring, including Rhine maidens and Norns and that. And it was just a natural progression. And of course Wagner was very influenced by the Italian school. He adored Norma, for instance.
It's not often talked about, particularly in this year in which both Verdi and Wagner are enjoying their bicentenary. One doesn't think of him as an Italian or an Italianate composer, but you're saying...
The early Wagner, Lohengrin, Tannhäuser, Rienzi, is very influenced by the Italian school. It's very lyrical, the early Wagner, and I think he would have been quite surprised to have heard the great Scandinavian voices that came to sing it later on. But I always felt that it should be sung in a very feminine way, very lyrically. I don't think the audience should ever feel as though they've been hit over the head with a sledgehammer. They should always really enjoy the colour of the singing and the musicality that a singer brings to it.
What does it take to be a Wagnerian soprano?
Well, the great Birgit Nilsson always said you needed comfortable shoes because you have to stand for a long time. I think you have to have a very good technique. When you start Götterdämmerung or Tristan, they're 5 hours long. You have to think about the long journey that you're going on. And I think it's the colour of the language and the colour of the music and the harmonies. I think you just have to open the score. He wrote everything that he wanted.
Well, that leads on to the question about singing in Bayreuth, which is clearly a different opera house to any other. In what way is it different singing there?
Well, of course, it has the most perfect acoustics of probably any theatre in the world. It was built by the composer for his music. The orchestra pit goes right under the stage. There's a huge cowl so that the audience never see the conductor until the end of a performance. And you get this wonderful mixture of sound. The extraordinary thing is, most theatres, you have to sing just slightly before the beat. In Bayreuth, you have to sing fractionally behind because the sound comes up from underneath the cowl, it goes onto the stage, and you get this wonderful mix of orchestra and sound. Rarely are people drowned out, and everything is wooden. There's a little fire engine that sits outside Bayreuth for every performance. I mean, not that one little fire engine could put out a fire, and we hope there never will be a fire in Bayreuth, but it does have the most perfect. It doesn't have air conditioning, so you don't hear this terrific buzz all the time, and it can get very, very hot. I think there may be a little bit of air conditioning now in the orchestra pit, but it is the most wonderful place to sing.
Is it different singing Wagner in Germany?
Singing Wagner in Germany can be like a blood sport. If they want someone else to be singing the role, or they don't like the way you sing it, or particularly if you don't have very good German, they will boo you. And that's awful for a singer. I first went to Berlin to sing a ring there, and my husband phoned me and said, Siegfried has just come out and taken a curtain call, and they've booed him terribly, so be prepared. And of course, Brunhilde doesn't arrive on the scene until the last act, so it was very nerve-wracking. And then the intendant there said, "You must all go and take curtain calls together." He was American. He was a very good singer, but they didn't like his German. And of course, they listened to it like a play in Germany, whereas here we have subtitles. So perhaps an audience doesn't, apart from critics, don't quite know how good or bad your German is. But in Germany, it's the Holy Grail.
If you were to find yourself cast onto a desert island and told that you could just take one of the operas with you, which one?
Would that be a score, or would that be the CDs?
You could probably take both.
Well, I'd like to take both. I'd like the score of Tristan, sung by Frieda Leider. Everyone knows really about Flagstadt. Not so many people know about Frieda Leider, and for me, she was the greatest Wagner singer of all time. And the tenor, Melchior, just wonderful.
But you can take your own voice to the island. Would you be singing the Liebestod on the island yourself?
No, whenever I listen to my own voice, I think about all the things that I could have done better. I would want perfection on my island with me, and that would be with Frieda Leider.
And do you sense that there is a great new generation of young Wagnerian singers coming through?
Oh, I think there is. I have two very, very good young Brunhildes. I think perhaps they don't study as hard as we did. I learnt Götterdämmerung and Tristan over a 2-year period. Not working on it every day, and sometimes, I was doing Fidelio and other things. Sometimes it had taken 2 steps forward, sometimes it takes 1 step back. But those are very long roles. You have to sing them into your voice. They have to be in your body, in your psyche, in your obviously your memory. But I feel it's very good to learn them over a 2-year period.
For Wagner, you have to work.
You have to work very hard.